In today's video, we're going to be doing a comparison between British Airways and Emirates in their premium economy. We're going to be checking out the seats, the food, their entertainment, and those little extras on the side. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, of course, your first touch point with any airline as part of the experience will always be the check-in. It's such an important stage. Emirates, contrasting when they're outstations just here, uses an awful lot of technology as part of their check-in experience. For premium economy, they do also have dedicated check-in lanes. So a very good start from Emirates. From British Airways' point of view, to keep things nice and fair, again, we're going to be contrasting one of their outstations. Ironically, this was a flight taken directly from the UAE. Now, British Airways do use quite a lot of tech as part of their main service hubs, as part of those self-check-in experiences, where British Airways also excel, just like Emirates, as they do have dedicated check-in lanes for premium economy guests as well. So, honours even from a check-in point of view. Post the check-in, it's then time for that relaxing pre-flight experience. Now, with both airlines, lounge access isn't included as part of premium economy. Interestingly, both of their global hubs in T5 for British Airways and Terminal 3 at Dubai International Airport were built at exactly the same time, so they're both quite nice modern terminals. Where Emirates pick up a few brownie points is that you can buy lounge access at Dubai International Airport. Sadly, the same can't be said for British Airways, so you're just left typically with the myriad of restaurants at Terminal 5. I would say for the pre-flight experience, on that front, Emirates very slightly ahead. Alrighty, so next up, the all-important seat comparison. From an Emirates point of view, we'll start with them as ever. Most of their premium economy for now resides aboard their Airbus A380. I absolutely love where they put it. It's right at the front of the main deck. It's got its own little private section, as we'll check out in a moment. I think they do things really well on this front. They are currently in the process, however, of rolling out premium economy on board their 777 as well. As for the look and feel of the cabin, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. A lot of these seats were done at a similar time in where they rejuvenated many of their cabins with the seats designed by Mercedes-Benz in the even more premium cabins. I absolutely love this leather look and feel, particularly like the lightness of the cabin, the use of the woods. I think gone are those slightly old-fashioned wood designs in many of their cabins. I absolutely love this new design. In terms of the seats comfort, this was very good. I think if you're a little bit critical, you would say it's perhaps slightly firm in the reclined and indeed sleeping mode, but love the fact that it had a calf rest, plenty of legroom. They're very similar to British Airways on this front, and a little footrest there for you as well. This modern seat design had you very well catered for on the charging front, both USB and USB-C adapters under the main entertainment screen. Just down to your side was also then a plug socket adapter. Down also to the side is where you have the seat controls, both for recline and also that calf rest. I particularly liked that additional little storage there as well. I think for me, probably the star of the show was the window shade. Yeah, bit of a kid, I could have played with these throughout the entirety of the flight. They've got these up in the business class. I think it's an absolutely fantastic feature from Emirates, and it's great to see them extending it back into premium economy. And finally, overhead was individual air vents and also individual reading lights. Without further ado, let's jump on board then with British Airways and see what life is like aboard their premium economy. Now, to keep things fair today, we are going to be contrasting both their Dreamliner but also their latest premium economy design aboard their 777 that's currently being rolled out across the fleet. In terms of how British Airways do things, a little bit of a smaller cabin here, of course not being aboard the A380, and a real difference in decor. It'll be interesting to see what you all think down in the comments below, whether you like the very flash and leather sort of side of Emirates or something maybe a little bit safer, slightly more conservative with British Airways. For me personally, I think Emirates just look that little bit more premium, so they get the points on this front. In terms of the actual space within the seats, they're the same. So it's 38 inches of seat pitch, with British Airways not having the calf rests aboard their older design, but on board their newer design that you can see just here aboard their 777. They do have the calf rest and indeed also the footrest, so it's quite similar to Emirates in terms of comfort. In terms of seat comfort, when it's in the sleeping position, I'm probably just ever so slightly a fan of British Airways. I like the softer cloth style of seat, but that comes down, I think, to individual preference. Now, a little bit later on into the video, I will try to show on the seats in their recline mode. Can be something that's a little bit trickier to film. Typically, by the time you think of reclining, there's lots of people on board, but we will try and touch on that. Couple more features for now. As part of their newer design, they do have the bottle holders. I think that's a nice little feature. In terms of the headrest, these often do work quite differently to Emirates. The Emirates one was fully adjustable. This one is slightly more fixed. Just like Emirates, however, British Airways have you nicely covered from a charging point of view, whether it's their latest design or indeed their older one shown here. You've got those USB chargers in the back of the seat, and then just down into the footwells, you've then got those international plug socket adapters as well. So as we push back, let's focus for a moment on the pre-departure service. Both airlines do serve drinks in real glassware as you board the flight or just after you push back. Slightly different offerings. BA do often serve the bubbles. Emirates do have a few more of the softer options. British Airways also have hot towels as you board. Emirates wait just after departure to give those. So fairly similar for both airlines. Now, next up, I do want to take a moment to focus on the bathrooms. Now, with Emirates, because it is a separate cabin, they have their own dedicated bathrooms for premium economy, and on board their A380s that feature premium economy, these bathrooms are absolutely stunning. Yes, they're not huge, but absolutely loved how these were put together. This was by far and above the best approach I've ever seen by any airline in premium economy, and they earn top marks on this front. British Airways, on the other hand, have shared bathrooms between premium economy, and unfortunately, these are just the standard economy bathrooms and nowhere near the same. So, Emirates absolutely miles ahead just here. Next up, let's talk entertainment with both airlines, starting with Emirates. Emirates on this front are famous. They've got ICE. It's probably the best entertainment system in the world. It features no less than 6,500 different channels and movies and track lists. It really is absolutely fantastic. I was also a big fan of the seatback entertainment screens they had, so nice and modern and so large. On the headset front, definitely something over and above what you get in economy, but a little bit so-so. We'll contrast that to British Airways in a moment. On the Wi-Fi front, I feel as though they're fairly generous with the prices here, not too high. So let's see how that contrasts for a moment to British Airways. We'll start here with the older premium economy. You can see aboard the Dreamliner, it's a smaller screen, it's slower to respond, nowhere near as sharp and as crisp as Emirates. In terms of the British Airways entertainment system, they call it High Life. I actually think it's really good. I'm never short of things to watch. Nowhere near as good as ICE, but in terms of various different movie choices, TV programs, there's always plenty for me to get into. Here, you can see how it then contrasts to that absolute newest design, a larger, more crisp, more responsive screen. You can also then see even the controller was that little bit more modern. So I think British Airways do well on this front. Emirates ever so slightly ahead with thanks to ICE. Now, when it comes to the Wi-Fi, this is always something that's frequently offered by British Airways. In terms of the pricing, like Emirates, they also offer messaging completely free of charge, and across the variety of their other packages, they're probably a very similar price to Emirates, so both airlines do nicely, thankfully, on the Wi-Fi front. I think where British Airways do indeed claw back a little bit of ground is on the headset front. They use the same headset in premium economy as they do in the business class, and you can see it's a big cut above, that little bit more higher quality, a little bit more comfortable than Emirates, so here they get a big thumbs up. Next up, let's broach the all-important topic of in-flight dining. Now, when it comes to Emirates, there are a couple of different menus. They'll give you a physical one, but you can also access via the online portal just to see what could be coming up. Absolutely wonderful write-up in terms of aspects such as the wine. On this particular flight, the main service was a dinner, so we'll do that in detail together. I think what came through with Emirates more so than anything else was the quality of the china and cutlery. What they were aiming for with premium economy was more business light as opposed to premium economy, if that kind of makes sense. And that followed all of the way through. I just thought everything was so beautifully put together, so well presented, and it did feel like a business class dining experience as opposed to a slightly more fancy economy experience. And there you have it, and I think the first word that instantly comes to mind looking at that tray is plentiful. Emirates are always very generous on the food front. They keep their passengers very well fed. That's something that I've noticed flying with them in both the economy and also business class cabins as well. That evening, everything tasted absolutely fantastic, and Emirates really do get a 10 out of 10 when it comes to premium economy dining. For me, a very strong measure of how good an airline really is in premium economy is how good that follow-up service is. Here, you can see a light breakfast was served. That was a decent, for me, second service. Let's flip on over to British Airways and see how they contrast. So first things first, table design, whilst it looks an awful lot less flash than what you get within Emirates, the actual mechanics and design of it worked exactly the same. Quite like how it folds out twice, so you can have a bit of a smaller surface or a little bit of a larger surface, perhaps if you're working or indeed dining. In terms of the menu, you get a physical menu with British Airways, a little bit smaller than the Emirates one, not quite as detailed, particularly on the wine and beverages front, but otherwise nice still to get a physical menu. Now for me doing these videos, one of the biggest underlying things that I always hope to be is just to be fair and give them both a really fair shot. This particular flight that we're contrasting against Emirates was pretty much the same route in reverse, so exactly the same duration of flight. The services were similar in that you had the main service, then a smaller service before landing. Where British Airways kicked off was a round of drinks, just like Emirates, and a little snack. Unfortunately for them, they use plastic cups, and when the food comes, you can just see straight away there's a big difference versus Emirates. Yes, real glassware did eventually arrive, and actually with British Airways, I've had some incredibly tasty meals with them in premium economy, but just that look and feel, yeah, it's just not quite the same. One area British Airways always do particularly nicely, particularly through their caterer Doe & Co at the moment, is the desserts. They do taste really fantastic, and they're always a nice way to round off a meal. What isn't a nice way to round off a flight on this run is BA second service. It's just copy and pasted from the economy cabin. They absolutely need to do better on this front, and for that reason, and that reason alone, I do think Emirates are streets ahead when it comes to the dining. Now, of course, having paid an enhanced fee to sit in premium economy, you want those little creature comforts, and some of those come in the form of amenity kits. Both airlines do the amenity kits, which we'll take a look at. Nowhere near as plush as what you'd expect up in the business class, but they do have the basics, so it's very nice indeed to get them. An area for me where British Airways do exceptionally well is actually on the bedding that they give you in the premium economy. The blankets feel just like how they feel, frankly, up in the business class, and you do get a much larger pillow that's also very nicely put together. So British Airways, a very big thumbs up on this front. And finally, a brief shot of the seat in its fully recline mode. When the recline is then paired with the calf rest, for me, it makes for a very comfortable place to sleep. Next up, we'll quickly touch on Emirates. For me, actually, I think BA are ahead with the bedding. Yes, with Emirates, you do get a much larger pillow, but it did feel quite economy-esque. Frankly, as did the blanket. I think they could do a little bit better on this front. In terms of the amenity kit, they do have quite a nice little range that they offer. Particularly, I think the contents do look very nice indeed. So having now seen all of the major aspects, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you were doing a route and both airlines were the same price, which one would you fly with? For me personally, I think when you pay premium economy prices, you do want those finer touches. And for me personally, I think Emirates do that an awful lot better than British Airways at the moment. Otherwise, all that's left for me to say is to thank you so much for watching today's video. If you're not yet already subscribed to the channel, please do consider doing so. YouTube will then help you stay fully up to date with the new videos as they go live each week, and I'll see you in another one real soon.